Hey, everybody, welcome back to Different Strings. This is our Music That Matters show, and we've split this out from our regular episodes and made it much more timely and accessible to anybody who loves this segment. I know I've heard from a couple of my friends, and this is their favorite segment of the show. And so we're giving you the opportunity to just listen to this part. And for the first separate one, we're going with a pick from Andrew. And Andrew, tell us what this album is.
All right. So this one, honestly, out of left field for me because it was not on my main list. Like I have a main list. There's like some I 100% have to capture. This one, not on that.
Not on
I
that
just
list.
I just noticed that of all the albums I listen to, this one keeps coming back over and over and over. And I started thinking about why that is and what that means to me. So I decided to throw it into the rotation early. I am going with the Black Crowes, their 1998 album By Your Side.
Um, I do not have this album. I never heard it until today when you told me this was the album that you chose.
Mhm.
So let me hear, sell me on it.
All right. So I'm not a Black Crowes fan. Just putting
Me
it out
neither.
there.
Yeah, throw it out there.
Widely very successful band, can't argue with record sales, just not a personal fan. I think I liked when they first hit the scene. I obviously liked their vibe,
Yeah.
and but I also, this was back in radio days, um and I they got played out. It was
Yeah.
just every time I turn on the radio, hard to handle. Every time I turn on the
Pretty
radio,
Little Thing.
right, every time I turn on the radio, and it just got overplayed.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, they called that first album Shake Your Moneymaker for a reason, Andrew.
seriously,
That was, they shook it, man. They shook it, shook it, shook it until all the money fell out of the tree.
yeah, and they did. And the other thing, what they kept getting compared to the Rolling Stones, and that's a band I never really vibed with.
Yeah, not a fan.
Right, just not, again, can't argue with the success. You're allowed to like them. I was always
Yeah.
a Beatles guy, not a Stones guy.
And there's some really, really great. I have the Stones' greatest hit album, and I love it end to end.
Yeah, not, just not a huge fan. So why am I talking about a Black Crowes album? Okay, so I when I thought about this, I couldn't remember how or why or when I discovered this album. That is now not true. It came back to me. Um,
Ding!
yeah. So a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I saw them play live. They were a original band, but they played a couple of covers, and one of those
Okay.
covers was Remedy.
Oh, yeah. Great Crow song.
Right. And I remember hearing them play it, and I went, oh man, I forgot how much I actually really like that song.
Yeah.
So I went out and found Remedy, and it was years after the album had come out. I forget even which album that's on, but it had been years. And I found this other album sitting next to it. And I thought, oh, no, I see album, I mean CD.
Right.
So I bought both of them. I
And
just
the other one was this album, By Your Side.
It was this one. There was some, I
Okay.
just liked the cover. I don't know. I just saw them both. And I'm like, well, if this one, I'll like this one, maybe I'll like this one too. Like, I was going to give it a shot. Back in the day, that's how you listen to new music. You would just see it and go, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Holy Toledo. From the from the get-go, there is something so different about this album compared to other Crows albums. I don't know what it is about this. I mean, I do know everything about it is amazing, in my opinion. Where this album came from them, like how they evoked this and brought this into the world, is beyond me. Was it the fact that Rich Robinson did all the guitars for the first time and he was just open to do whatever the hell he wanted? Was it that they had Kevin Shirley in the studio producing for them and he pulled this out of them, like he birthed it? I don't, there's something about this album. It is powerful and soulful and emotional, and it hits you very hard. Everything from the songwriting to the performing of the instruments, the mix, right? There's the sound of the record. it despite this being a guitar, there's a lot of guitar on this record.
Oh yeah.
Nothing virtuoso, like was that a word? Nothing.
Virtuosic.
Yes, thank you. Nothing like earth shattering. I mean, but there's something about the way that he plays with this conviction and this tone. It's huge. And yet, this is a very drum heavy album
Yeah.
and vocal heavy album. Like if you listen, the bass drum and the snare drum really drive every song on the record. So I I don't know. We call this music that matters, and the truth is, I don't know how much this album matters in the grand scheme of things, music writ large. I don't know where this album sits in the Black Crowes diaspora, but for me, upon hearing this record, it totally changed me as a guitar player,
Yeah.
which is weird. I never thought that a Crowes record, and more specifically a Rich Robinson, would change me as a guitar player. But it just, to me, this is a classic masterclass in rock tones, in textures, in playing for the song, in having two guitars split left and right, but doing two very unique, distinct parts, so that together it forms this amazing
Oh
tapestry.
yeah.
Um, and there's a lot going on the record besides guitar, bass, drums, and vocals. They have a keyboard player. There's a whole background section. There's horns. It's huge. This is just an amazing record. And so, how it changed me as a guitar player, it I started to shift my style. Like this was the first time I shifted my style away from progressive and heavier metal.
Gotcha.
I started to like really hear and feel the appeal of simple and basic, and letting the guitar do the work, and the the power of the chords and the writing now was in the front seat, the driver's seat, whereas the smoke show and all the crazy crap that was taking a back seat. I
Yeah.
really did start to like appreciate um that rhythm based approach. And so and that also forced me to change my gear choices. So now I was getting away from like the really heavier sounding amps and guitars, and started to shift towards a more vintage tinged tone and guitar choices and gear choices. that
Yeah.
was that was the moment for me. Hearing this album was like, I this is kind of like the direction I want to go in. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. So I had never listened to this album until I looked at the show notes for this episode and saw that this was the album you chose. And I I'm a casual Black Crowes fan.
Hmm.
I mean, I've three of their albums. I do not have the first album, Shake Your Moneymaker, which has Twice as Hard, Jealous Again, Hard to Handle, and She Talks to Angels, right? All great songs. And
Yep.
I think Hard to Handle honestly has some of the best classic rock solos ever recorded, as far as I'm concerned. I will always listen to Hard to Handle on the radio, 100% every time, all the way through. I will shush people in the guitar solos because they are so good. And that's not Rich Robinson, right?
No,
That's the other guy that they
it was
had back then.
Jeff Cease was their first guitar player.
Yeah.
After
So
he left, they got Mark Ford, and then he left, and that's when Rich was like, I guess I'll do
I'm just going to
everything.
do this. Yeah. So
And yeah.
I have three of their albums. I have the double live CD they did with Jimmy Page,
Hmm.
which is filled with Led Zeppelin songs, and it has my favorite version of Fleetwood Mac's "Oh Well" on it.
Nice.
A couple other songs that are just really great, and I mean, it's Jimmy Page, right? And he's our idol,
The
right? I'm
patron
not going to
saint.
say he's our hero, but he's definitely our idol.
Hmm.
So I have that album. I have the one with the bushy pubic hair cover, which I
That
always
they
forget the name of.
Amorica, which they
Uh,
don't, and they banned that one.
yeah, well, they banned the cover, they triangled it. And then I have Three Snakes and One Charm, which I probably have not listened to in 10 years. It's not even I looked, and I have an external hard drive with most of my ripped CDs on it, and then I have the stuff on my computer that I'll listen to regularly. And Three Snakes and One Charm is not even on my external hard drive. So I have not even ripped it to my computer to listen to. Um, and as I discovered, By Your Side was the follow-up to Three Snakes.
Mhm.
And now I'm really kicking myself for not sticking with them after that, because I think, honestly, this album is so much better than Three Snakes. And Three Snakes is a pretty good album from what I remember. It starts with Go Faster and Kicking My Heart Around. And I finally understand why people say the Black Crowes are so heavily influenced by the Rolling Stones. Like, it's this album that made me finally hear it.
Ah,
And it's a lot more than just the, you know, three black women backing vocals that are all over this album and are a big reason why it sounds so amazing.
yeah.
And I don't know who those background singers are. I didn't look it up, you know. um it's the slide guitar that's all over this album,
All over it.
and the just phenomenal guitar tones that sit perfectly in the mix.
Absolutely.
And I really feel like if you take Chris Robinson out of this and put Mick Jagger in the singer slot, this is the best Rolling Stones album I ever heard. You know, like, I really, like, I get it now when people say, "Oh yeah, that's a Rolling Stones influence band." I mean, this is a flat out, no hesitation. This is a great album, and I really wish I'd heard it before today. So thank you very much for bringing it to my attention.
You're welcome.
I absolutely agree with your assessment of Rich Robinson's contribution to this. It's tone wise, this is such a fun album to listen to. And I saw them not just a few years before this album came out on tour when I was working for the newspaper at the college that I went to. I chose this concert. I was the photography editor, and so I chose this concert as being one of the ones that I would take for myself, because I knew them and I wanted to hear them play Hard to Handle live, you know. And at that point, I knew that Rich Robinson had a reputation as a gear hound. And so I wanted to see what his amps were and what his guitars that he was going to bring were.
Mhm.
And I wish I could have, I looked and looked and looked, and my portfolio must be packed away. But I was going to show you some of the pictures I took from that show, because a couple of them are really cool. But, you know, I was blown away by this album, and I feel bad for having missed it when it came out, because I think in 1998 this album would have been a big breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I can't
because
believe it's been 20 something years
yeah,
since
you
this
old
album.
brother. Imagine how the Robinsons feel.
Seriously, but I also was a latecomer to it, and I like I said, I pretty sure it wasn't 1998 when I found this. It was several years after that. But I, like I said, I am still not someone who would consider themselves a Black Crowes fan where I'm going out and buying all their stuff. To me, this band they struck gold with this record.
Yeah.
There's something very powerful about it that really speaks to me, and everything. Anyone who's listening to this podcast, I highly recommend go out and seek this out wherever you listen to music, because it's, like I said, it was life changing for me. If you get anything out of it, that'll make me very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. The album that I was trying to think of the name of, that they did the live concert they did with Jimmy Page, is called Live at the Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And it has what is hands down my favorite version of Nobody's Fault But Mine.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's just such a great song. And they do some deep cuts off of that. They also play Shake Your Moneymaker, which is an Elmore James song. It's an old blues song.
Right. They did a couple covers in the old days. Hard to Handle's a cover.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Hard to Handle's a cover. Yep.
Oh, who did that song originally?
I don't remember. Come on, man.
Oh, that's all right. I got Wikipedia open. I will
Do
look at
it.
that right now.
I
Uh,
think that live album you're talking about also has one of my ultimate all-time favorite Led Zeppelin songs on it. Um,
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding. Thank you.
Oh, I got to find that, man. I
Yeah.
had no, and it was a B-side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep. Um, and it's not Houses of the Holy. I'll think of it. One of my favorite all-time Led Zeppelin songs that they
sing it to
cover.
me. Sing it to me.
It's the one that starts with the 12 string. It's really slow. Um, I can't sing. I won't sing it because I'm just going to embarrass myself. You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't.
Oh, come on. You're going to make me look this up. You're going to have
Uh,
to, you're going to have to, you're going to have to, I was going to say, you're going to have to, the rain song, rain
I'll
song.
put the link in the chat so you can click it.
Okay. It's the rain song. That's the one I was thinking about.
You sure?
Yeah. That is my absolute all-time favorite Led Zeppelin song.
The rain song.
Yeah.
Where is that?
And I thought it was on that record.
I don't see it in the track listing.
Maybe it's like a limited edition. I'm pretty sure I heard a live version of that with them on it, and it was really inspiring.
Well, that is absolutely a fantastic song. I love the upstrokes that Jimmy Page does in that on the 12 string. Sound just so crisp and beautiful. I mean, I think he's both over and underrated as a guitar player, you know. But after listening to this album, I think Rich Robinson is underrated as a guitar player.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't do anything super flashy. All the solos are dead nuts, perfect for the song. All the tones are spot on. I mean, the Kicking My Heart Around is probably one of my favorite songs right now. I listened to that song 10 times today. It's fantastic.
I'll tell you which song knocked me for a loop was Horsehead.
Yeah, also a really good song.
It just, that to me, it hits hard. Like when people say that blues can't be heavy, that song is heavy. It's powerful, man. Horsehead, between how big the drums sound and that guitar that comes in with the wah, it's huge, man. Huge.
And one of the things I definitely like about this album is that it doesn't let up. You know, it continues pushing the listener straight through to the end.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad song on the record. There's no filler.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Absolutely.
And we haven't really talked a whole lot about it, but this was like what, 5 or 6 albums into the Black Crowes. Chris Robinson, his performance, he didn't phone this in, man.
No.
Like,
yeah, this was 1, 2, 3, 4. This was their 5th album.
Not phoned in. I mean, I'm not saying he ever did, but they had made their money at this point, and he was all over this record. Chris Robinson, huge.
I mean,
and him and Rich wrote all the songs.
Yeah, Shake Your Money Maker, 5 times platinum. Southern Harmony Musical Companion, 2 times platinum. Amorica went gold even after it was banned. 3 Snakes and One Charm did not do well.
Right, this was
album didn't do well sales wise. They peaked, you know. I mean, but when you throw down a debut album like Shake Your Money Maker,
I know,
you know, it's hard to keep going up.
I know, but I would listen to this 20 times a day over that.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
They just,
and
man,
and they put out a bunch of other albums. I'm gonna have to check them out. They got 4 albums after this one.
Yeah, and the one that came out right after By Your Side, I thought I'll listen to that because maybe they stuck. No, I didn't like it.
Didn't work for you?
No, didn't like it. I mean, I may go back to it. Maybe I'll feel differently, but didn't do it for me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, after this one, the highest they charted was 5 on the album sales chart. That was Warpaint in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they put out an EP last year called 1972. Let's see what's on that. Oh, cool cover. It's got a Volkswagen Bug on it. They reformed the Black Crowes in 2019. Oh, I didn't know they split up. I apologize, Chris and Rich. I didn't know. And the EP 1972 is covers of songs from 1972. Rolling Stones, T-Rex, Rod Stewart, You Wear It Well, great song.
Yeah.
Little Feat, band that most of their fans probably never heard of. David Bowie and Temptations. Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
That's
I
great.
gotta find that, man. And it's got yeah, it looks like a real basic setup: guitar, bass, drums, background vocals, harmonica, not even any keyboards listed on the wiki entry. So I bet that's probably a smoking hot album.
Yeah. So that's my album. That's for my album. That's my album this week.
Yeah, fantastic choice. I can't wait to see what I pick for the next episode.
I can't wait to see what I pick.
Yeah, so everybody, hey, thanks for coming back and listening to the Music That Matters sideshow from Different Strings, a guitar podcast with me, Wes, and my buddy Andrew, coming at you on the YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. Please visit us at differentstringspodcast.com and check out our blogs and our socials, and please leave a comment, a like, a subscribe. Everything you do that helps bump us up in the algorithms is greatly appreciated, and we want to hear what albums you think we should be talking about. So be sure and tell us what albums you think matter in the world. Now,
tell us what's on your mind.
Tell us what's on your mind. We have been saying albums, but I realize that the album format may not be what everybody thinks of music in. So let's go with music that matters from your perspective, and you tell us what that looks like. Maybe it's a concert video. Maybe it's a single, maybe it's a double A side, something like that. Maybe it's a dance remix.
You do you.
Yeah. And tell us about it, and we'll take it up, and we'll see you next time on Different Strings.
Yeah, peace, everyone.